In the mid-teens, we saw that technology was evolving, and my CTO in 2015 asked me, why do we have two databases? Why do we have a payroll and a general ledger database? And we had a desktop application at that time, and I didn't know. I didn't have the answer, and I said, because that's what I learned when I got into the business. And he's like, but it would be a lot easier to have one database. So I was like, yeah, you're right. So why don't we do that? So we did that, and we made a great decision, because by having one database, it allows us to have one application. So one application on top of a database, and that opened up the entire ecosystem to the production. So crew members, set PAs, production accountants, obviously, production execs, everyone has access now to the platform. And we were doing it to be more efficient. We were doing it to get rid of paper. We were doing it before COVID. We were migrating from a desktop app to the single page application. And then when COVID came along, it was like people had to pivot to digital because they had to. And I should have said one other thing is, before COVID, people were resistant to go to digital because they wanted to just keep using paper because that's what they knew. And that was super frustrating, and I'd ask my people, who are the clients using paper? We should fire them. And people laughed, but COVID came along, and that really changed things. And that fueled our growth, because we were ready. And when COVID hit, we were able to we didn't have to pivot. We just kept going with our platform. And meanwhile, our competitors had to pivot because they had to. So they had to do things like have Adobe DocuSign and Dropbox and umpteen different logins for their solutions. And it's almost as if, when I look at my competitors, they're trying to recreate the paper workflow in the digital world, and it's kind of ham-fisted. It's not really efficient at that point. So I feel like having one application is really helping us with our growth.
John, would you say that the ability to roll out the kind of changes and address the feedback that we get as quickly as we do is, having one app is a benefit there relative to, like the slide here, the sort of the bolt-on products and what we see happening, where competitors have products that were designed by different development teams at different times.
Oh, yeah. Like, for example, if you're in a cost report and you're drilling down and you're like, oh, what are all these POs? And our competitors, you can't really drill down in that cost report worksheet. In our worksheet, you can drill down to everything, the purchase orders, all the costs, and you'll see it all. It's all there. Like, and even down to like the benefits of like tax credit audits, and, you can assign a CPA a read-only access, and they can go and pull their own backup. Or you can bulk download and email it to them. So there's so many positives with this one app that saves so much time and efficiency.
What advice do you give to accountants who are considering a transition to a new technology, John?
I would say, if you haven't used GreenSlate, and you're hearing what Brett and I are talking about, the first thing I would recommend is just try a demo. It would take like an hour or 90 minutes of your time, and you'll see what we're talking about. I mean, it's really life-changing. I mean, there are many clients that we have that we've won over that are never going to go back. And they talk about work-life balance. They're leaving at 6 o'clock. There's a former client of ours, Jenna here, who now works for us. She's a huge advocate who will speak to that. I mean, she can witness the work-life balance. She was saying things like, I was going home at 6 and I thought I was doing something wrong. So it's pretty amazing, the work-life balance. So I would say check out the demo, because you'll see things that are unbelievable. Like, you see the transparency of where things are in the approval flows. You see, crew members can see where the check request is and who's holding it up, so that they can go and talk to the UPM who isn't approving that check. We have rush approvals that is a different color and a different notification that makes it obviously urgent. There's so many things that make this application to make you more efficient. So you're working smarter and not harder.
What are the biggest pain points for production accounting? How does GreenSlate address these issues?
Well, the first problem I think I saw was, and I just mentioned it was, the paper. It was just a lot of it, and it was like chasing paper, between, the in baskets, the files on the wall that the crew members would come and grab, to going to set with stacks of checks with sign here stickies, and a teamster driving you to set, just to sit around for hours waiting for the checks to get. A total inefficient waste of time. Crew members calling, "Where's my check? Is the check ready?" To payroll questions. The payroll company was keeping everyone behind. They were the wizards behind the curtain, and how we solved all that is by having this one application. Because now everybody has access to the data with proper permission. So crew members can just look for their own paychecks. They can look for their own pay stubs. They can download their own tax documents with the right permissions. They have custom grid views, and you can drag and drop columns and set it up just for what they want. And of course they have to have permissions, but if they're department heads and they want to see what their department is spending, they can look at their own stuff. So it's creating all this efficiency that accounting doesn't have to get dragged and put in the middle. So it's been quite amazing for this one application, to solve a lot of those inefficiencies.
It's the access to information, right? I mean, in the world of paper, we don't know where things are. I mean, when I started Stranger Things, I was in the middle of, I've been a PSL user my whole career. And we dealt with paper, and we dealt with PDFs, and we had our routing folders. COVID made that change, and we had to adapt, and it was forced upon us. But having access to information and knowing where things are, and knowing if they've been signed, and knowing, if you're in a bullpen, you can look in the filing cart and you can say, "Oh my gosh, we're in trouble," or you can say, "Hey, everyone's doing their job. Let's cut out at 6." But that didn't happen during COVID. Everyone was in a different place. We didn't have the tools we needed. We couldn't communicate, and people felt fear, and they didn't want to say, "Hey, I'm falling behind here. I don't have the right tools." But with GreenSlate, you have access to information. You can see where things are in the approval flow. You can see what costs are in your system, what costs aren't in your system. So I think that's the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome. But we've done things a certain way for my whole career. It's been the same. And learning a new process is the biggest challenge, I think.
Right. Now, so when we're talking about the benefits of the app and the access to information, do you see cross-departmental gains as well?
Well, that's one thing great. So all of your departments, of course they're entering their time cards, right? But when you have department heads, their department pulls their POs right out of the system. You can see when they grab their POs. They can attach their backup instantly. When invoices come in, they start by being put in the system rather than having to be filed later. So you always have access to that.
In our application, the crew member, when they do their time card, the payroll accountant sees it, and then our paymaster from GreenSlate sees it. So we're
all working in the same app.
Yeah, we're all in the same app. So it's really cool. Like now, obviously, we see it after it's been approved and posted, and things like that. But I think that's pretty powerful. I think another challenge I've seen is, resistance to change, the resistance to digital solutions. I would to say how we solve that is, we offer free training for new people. We want to train the entire team. We'll even offer paid training when you're on prep, a week of prep for your team, so that you have so you're set up for success. Because if you guys don't succeed, whoever hasn't used GreenSlate before, then it's not going to work out. So we are motivated to have it work out. And for the crew, when they're on set, we have people, boots on the ground, training and helping people so that the crew gets it. Now, some crew members have flip phones, so then, we have to work around that. For those who are hesitant to change, I understand the hesitancy. I've been there. I've seen promises made, and then you're using a platform and it doesn't work. It's very buggy or whatever it is. or how many times have I've heard requests that have gone to our competitors for improvements and they don't happen. It just doesn't happen. And it's the same. What I would say to that is our platform, we've been around for 20 years. I sat in the chair. I sat in your guys' chair. I was a production accountant. The CEO founder understands the pain points of production and the urgency. I don't think any other CEO can say that in our vertical.